Good evening, Yorktown, and welcome to the town board meeting for April 6, 2021. Happy belated Easter and a happy belated Passover to all. If you could please join me and rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll have Councilman Vishnu Patel lead us. Councilman Patel.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Moment of silence for all men and women serving around the globe, and all the people who are the scientists, engineer, or medical service provider, epidemiologists, vaccinations, each and every one, and every hospital volunteer. We are thankful to you for your dedication serving through this difficult time in our history of mankind for COVID-19.
Thank you, Councilman Patel.
Thank you.
Thank you, the town board.
Thanks, Vish.
We'll go introductions quickly. Supervisor Matt Slater, joined by Councilwoman Alice Roker, Councilman Vishnu Patel, Councilman Tom Diana, Councilman Ed Lachterman. We have our town clerk, Diana Quast. We also have with us our town attorney, Adam Rodriguez. Go straight to reports. We'll start with, of course, COVID. Today's numbers, 14 new cases in the town of Yorktown, 185 active. That's as of yesterday's numbers that we received today from the Department of Health. We appreciate them sharing those numbers with us. We continue to update the community impact dashboard. You can visit yorktownny.org. It's right on the homepage. You just click right there. We break it down by zip code so you can see exactly how many cases are in our backyard and the trajectory that we continue to ride. We continue to provide local options for the COVID-19 vaccine, which has been fantastic. A very, very big thank you to all of our local partners.
Yes.
Especially the Westchester County Department of Health, who's kicked this thing off for us. Save More Pharmacy, the Cow family. We also have Taconic Pharmacy and our friends at Acme, who've continued to provide these pop-up clinics. Our next pop-up clinic is scheduled for tomorrow. So far, we've actually have vaccinated over 2,500 people in the town of Yorktown, and that's a great achievement that we are not letting up on. We'll be at Jefferson Village tomorrow. Our friends at Save More Pharmacy will be providing the second shot for those who received their first shot of Moderna 28 days ago, and then they are providing 100 Johnson & Johnson shots to be administered later in the day. For those who have yet to do so, if you're looking for a vaccine, we are trying to make this as easy as we can. Tip number one, get on as many lists as you can, just being honest. If you want it as a local option, jump on again, yorktownny.org. You can sign up to be put on the town's standby list. This week, we started a new program where we are now emailing that link for people to make their own appointments to that standby list. So you only get the link if you're on the standby list. So continue to monitor your emails, and it's all automated. And I want to thank our staff. I want to thank, of course, Kira Brunner and Jenna Belcastro for doing just a great job. Jenna Lennox, that was her name in high school anyway.
Yeah.
Of course, we also want to thank Dr. Gina Tartaglia. Dr. Tartaglia joined me today for another COVID update, providing just really important insight as to the importance of receiving the vaccine. She also continues to provide a local option for residents. She's located right on Veterans Road, and we continue to share her information as her supply becomes readily available. This week, she'll be supplying 200 Johnson & Johnson vaccines right here in the town of Yorktown, and residents can call her practice directly to make your appointment. Looking ahead, good news is registration for summer camp is open thanks to our Parks and Rec staff. They've done a great job dealing with all the Department of Health regulations. Again, our goal is safety for the kids, safety for our counselors, safety for the staff. But we are able to, we believe, provide this great service. So summer camps are back, registration's open. You can jump right on to the Parks and Rec website. All your registration this year can be done right online, which is really exciting. Also, pool registrations. Our Parks and Rec superintendent is telling us that we are getting questions about when pool registrations are going to open up. So mark your calendars for May 4th. That's when pool registration is set to open. And again, you can do all that right online. I also want to thank Scott Ferreira from our Parks department. He's been heading up the playground safety repairs as part of our playground safety audit. Again, we've had several that we have fixed and reopened. Those include the playground at Foxden, Sparkle Lake, Junior Lake, Willow Park, Railroad Park. York Hill is scheduled to reopen at the end of April. And as a reminder, the playground over at Chelsea Park at this point is going to be decommissioned, but that park will remain and provide a greater emphasis for softball in our community, which is great. Lastly, we do want to encourage folks, or especially our kids, if you are interested in applying for a summer job, camp counselors are still needed. You have until April 14th to apply, and that info, again, can be found right on the Parks and Rec website. Last week, over at the Albert A. Cappellini Community and Cultural Center, the gym floors, we had a steam pipe burst quite a while ago, and it was done right when COVID hit, but we were finally able to fix the gym floor with a full facelift for the gym. I was over there today. It looks fantastic. So a big thanks to Phil Marino, Al Pisano, and the whole team over there. And I'm happy to say that this was completed well under budget from what we originally thought. So we're very excited about that as well. So they have a new finish, new lines, and we're hopeful to be putting our pop-up clinics back there in the not too distant future. As a reminder, Battle of Yorktown roadside litter cleanup is scheduled for Saturday, April 24th. This is a great Yorktown tradition. And if you're looking to get outside and help us battle some of the neighborhood litter, it's a great way of doing it. You can contact our refuse and recycling office, talk to Kristen Shearer, another former graduate of mine, and former classmate of mine, and she can set you up with all the details. Speaking of litter cleanup, tomorrow, Wednesday, April 7th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., Wood Street up in Jefferson Valley. We heard that there was quite a bit of litter up there. Our refuse and recycling department, in conjunction with our highway department, will be closing Wood Street for a full roadside cleanup operation along Wood Street. So please take note of that. Later tonight, at about 10 o'clock, our water department is going to be performing a system improvement by installing a water line up at Willow Park. This is also in preparation for the relocation of the Garden of Hope. Residents in the area of Jefferson Court, Dunwoody Court, and Curry Street will experience a service interruption, but again, not expected to begin until 10 p.m. tonight. Happy to report that our finance department once again survived a 2-week audit from O'Connor Davies. They did a fantastic job. We expect to have the report and a presentation for the town board in a month. And despite the COVID challenges, we believe the town to be in excellent financial health once again. So our hats off to our finance department and our comptroller, Pat Caparel. From our tax office, the town and county tax bills have been sent out. I'm going to say it again. The town and county tax bills have been sent out right now.
Yay!
Right?
Yay!
I don't know if you want to say yay.
Hi, Katie.
Your town and county tax bills are due April 30th. There are several ways to pay your tax bill if you don't already do so through an escrow, which is also through your mortgage. But you can pay right online. You can go right onto the town's website. You can make an online payment. You can utilize the drop box, which is located right in front of Town Hall. And I helped a wonderful woman today put her tax bill right in the drop box there. Or you can mail your payment to the tax department. Any questions at all, please call our great staff at the tax department, Barbara, Corsack, and Lori. They do a great job. You can call them at 914-962-5722, extension 212, and they will help you with any concerns or questions you might have. Let's see. Lastly, last couple points here. Route 6 heading west. If you usually head west towards Woodbury Commons and you need to cross the Bear Mountain Bridge, please take note that Route 6 is going to be closed until April 16th. So please plan accordingly. They're going to divert you around the mountain there. Again, if you're heading towards Bear Mountain, that's probably a better, the Bear Mountain Bridge. We are going to have plenty more conversations about this topic. But as we all know, New York State legalized recreational marijuana for people over the age of 21. But we did want to, we spoke with Chief Noble earlier to remind residents of Yorktown, and we have our town attorney. So Adam, please feel free to expand on this if you wish, but the town code does prohibit smoking at town properties, including our parks. And that, of course, does include marijuana. So again, this is something that we're going to be talking about in depth as a town board in the coming weeks and months, but we've already started to receive phone calls about this. And so we do want to make sure that the residents are aware that that smoking ban law does also apply to marijuana. Regarding the track at the Cappellini Center, I do want to thank again our staff and of course the police department. They've increased their presence out and around the track. I want to remind again our residents that bicycles are not allowed on the track. And I grew up in town. I remember riding my bike through town, always stop at 7-Eleven for a Slurpee. So I've been there. But please remember, parents, if you can remind your kids, no bikes on the track. It just makes it a dangerous situation for those utilizing the track. And lastly, another call out for volunteers. We are still looking for additional volunteers to serve on ABACA. That's the Architectural Review Board. That is a volunteer board here in the town of Yorktown. We have right now 3 members, and we are looking to add more of our residents who want to volunteer for our great community. So if you would like to join ABACA, please feel free to reach out to me at Town Hall. You can call me at 914-962-5722, extension 200, or you can email me at mslater@yorktownny.org.
You know, Matthew, on that issue, people need to know they don't have to have a degree in biology or anything like that to be on the conservation board. They just need to want to serve, and they will get some education. They'll take some courses as they are members of the Conservation Board.
Correct. Conservation Board and Architectural Review, the ABACA.
And if I may,
concludes my report to the town. Mr. Rodriguez, you wanted to throw something in there?
yeah, I just wanted to add that the no smoking law does have fines associated with violations, and ultimately you can be prohibited from entering upon town property after being found to have violated the code as well.
Excellent. Thank you for that clarification. We'll go over to the town council for reports. We'll start with Councilwoman Alice Roker.
I'm good. I just had one thing to talk about, and it's something that a couple of friends told me about. There are a lot of people out there who have not gotten their vaccination rather, because they have a lot of questions. And there's no one that they can call and ask questions. What do you recommend?
Well, I would first off recommend watching the update we gave today with Dr. Tartaglia.
Okay.
He did answer a lot of questions. We talked about what we've heard and the apprehension that people have had to get the shot, and she did a great job explaining it. The week before that, we had our Commissioner of Health, Dr. Shalita Amler, on, also providing information specifically about the shot. If residents do have questions, you can always call our office. If we don't know the answer, we will get you an answer. And whether that's working with one of our local medical practitioners or contacting the Department of Health directly, you know, we always try to provide as much information as we can. Also, if they have access to a computer, they can go to the yorktownny.org page and go on to our impact dashboard, our COVID impact dashboard. And there's as much information, all the information we get gets placed right on the side there. And we try to keep it as updated as we can.
You know, I think a couple of these people were seniors, and I don't know whether or not they had a computer, but I know they think they want to get it, but they have questions, and I said I can't answer them.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you.
We can put them in touch with the Department of Health directly, and they've got, obviously at this point, they're basically experts themselves, and so they can provide as much information as they can. And again, I encourage people to watch the Government Access channel. That's channel 20 for Optimum customers and channel 33 for FiOS. I had, again, Dr. Tartaglia on today, and that's going to be running for probably the rest of the week.
Perfect.
And provide some great information and insight as to some of the questions that we've heard and some of the apprehensions that people have expressed.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, we'll go to Councilman Diana.
Oh, am I muted? No, I'm good. All right. Hi, everybody. I had to look. I'm usually muted. I'm talking away and nobody hears me and nobody listens anyhow. So it doesn't matter. Anyway, um, excuse me. Like the supervisor said, the tax bills are sent out. Yippee. And we'll be sending them in shortly. Remember, folks, that when you receive your tax bill, just make sure it's postmarked by the last day. I know we had a few people that, because of a snowstorm, couldn't get their tax bills in, and they thought that they should get an extension. That doesn't work. It's a tax law. We have no control over that. There are things we have control over and things that we do not. That's one of the things we don't have any control over. So just to bring that forward. The Legion, our Legion post, the Sons of the American Legion, are going to be donating a patio to the American Legion Hall. We will probably be looking for volunteers to help do some labor on that patio on a date that is to be announced as soon as we get it prepped and ready to go. Excuse me. And so that should be a nice addition. It'll be a patio and a couple of walkways to the kitchen and towards the recreational area. So if there's any folks that are looking for community service, I know that some of our high school kids are, there'll be plenty of social distancing and you can wear your mask, and there's probably no time you'll be no less than 6 feet apart. So that's the one thing. And to my folks over here, and not only to my folks over here, but to the folks in Yorktown, but especially to the folks that have reached out to me about the old Getty station on the corner of Barger Street, 132 East Main. It's coming down, folks. I don't know if you've noticed, there's an excavator out front, and they've been doing some remedial removal at that site, taking down electric and so on and so forth, so that they can tear the building down. It's been a long struggle, but everybody's come together. I thank our planning board. I thank the folks of the Chestnut Market, who have worked with us very well. But it is a process, and we did handle it to the best of our ability, the best of our planning board's ability, and we wanted to make sure things are right. Because when things go wrong, we're the ones that get the blame. So we want to make sure it's right for the people of the town of Yorktown and our gateway to Shrub Oak. We want it to make it look nice, and I think it's gonna. I think you're going to be very happy with the outcome. And to Alice's point, with regard to the vaccination, if worst comes to worst, talk to your doctors. If you have a doctor, or even if you call one of the urgent care, I know I'd called the urgent care to ask them about something with regard to the shot, my own personal health, and I got the answer that I needed. So, yeah, if we can't answer your question and you can't get a hold of you can't get a hold of somebody who knows, give your doctor a call. They would know your criteria probably better than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have. Oh, and I don't know if Dave is getting on tonight. Is Dave on tonight by chance, Diana?
Not right now.
No. Okay. Just real quick then. The traffic safety board has met, and we've gone over a number of locations that folks have emailed us about, speed and stop signs and the like. And we are working on them right now. They're in their infancy because some of them are going to require signage and or traffic diversion and so on and so forth. So I can't give you too much information on that yet. And Adam, as long as I got you in front of us here, we're going to probably have you come to one of the meetings. We want to discuss doing a blanket stop sign law. I believe they're out there in different communities, so we don't have to go to the state every time we want to do a new stop sign law. It's a blanket law where if the board and the town board determine that a stop sign is needed at any particular location, that it's already included, and then we just put it in our town code. But we can discuss that further.
Okay, happy to have that discussion.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all I got.
Thank you, Councilman Diana. As a reminder, the tax deadline is April 30th at the end of the month. That was one of the things that you were mentioning earlier, and I do want to thank you and Highway Superintendent Paganelli and Officer Rob Rohr of the Traffic Safety Committee, because we do get contacted quite often in my office from residents who have concerns about their streets or roads. We were just doing Clover Road. We had our constituent over on Clover Road. But I always tell them that we refer it over to the Traffic and Safety Committee, and you do your due diligence to make sure that you can make whatever improvements that can be made. So it's great that residents do hear that you're working on these great projects. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, we do have Clover Road in our sites. That's another one. But there's numerous ones that we are working on, and I think we'd like to make everybody happy, but we try out there.
Yep.
So.
All right, we'll go to Councilman Patel.
All right, and let me just read this quote. I have it. Life and time are world's best teachers. Life teaches us the use of time, and time teaches us the value of life. So this is being said, vaccine is on their way, but senior citizens still feel difficult that it's too complicated to register, really. So how we have tried to do some good thing from our town hall, but some people are really afraid because you watch on the television and some people, half the people say vaccine is no good. And then when you want to get it, it's not plenty available. What is the solution? So these are the questions always will be, whether it's why it's not available, and some people say it's no good, we can live. So all I want to tell you is, guys, get it in your arm as soon as you can get, and there are many ways you can get it now. Ask your neighbor, friend, something, and then you will feel safe. And another variant is on its way, and it is going to be even more dangerous. But hope that we all will pass by this thing, because all I want to say is that all is always well until it is not. And variant is on its way, guys. Other countries are shutting down. I hope we don't have to, because now nearly 160 million people have gotten in, and it is because of the leadership of the United States and the world organizations. People are working on this virus, not yesterday. It's been going on since 20 years, because there was no need for that type of vaccine, and it was not able to do easily. And then down more scientific research, computer simulation, and drug scanning, and all that. There are millions and millions of people work around the world to make this thing happen. So this is really very good for entire humanity, that it is on our way. And I hope the other poor countries were able to get some help from other countries, where they cannot afford, and everybody will be healthy in the end. Just the last thing I just want to mention about the bridge, on a Veterans Road. Some people asked what was the delay, and I spoke to, the highway superintendent that some highway workers have some health related issue, vaccine. They were not able to get a vaccine earlier, or they got the COVID. So it will be working soon, but the job is done very well, because I took some professional engineer who does the construction work, and he's really good. And, we had a discussion with him. So things are moving along very well. All I want to say is be well, be safe, and please use your mask, because now maybe the winter is gone, but the spring, all the pollen will protect you in your lungs as well as the vaccine. Putting on your mask before you go. It doesn't cost you too much money. Really, it's a little inconvenience will make you really healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Patel. You were spot on with Veterans Road. It was a combination first of poor weather, and then unfortunately, several of the workers did contract COVID, and the site had to be shut down for several days. But that is nearing its conclusion, and they do expect to be paving that in the not too distant future and reopening that road. So I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. Councilman Lachterman?
Sure. First, I will tell Tommy, I don't know if he saw it, but I was watching News 12 earlier, and the gas station on Barger Street.
I'm coming to your house right now. I'm coming.
Was actually in the.
Here I come.
The demolition was actually in in the little thing, the scroll running underneath.
Was it?
It's big enough that it's made Channel 12 News.
See that?
That's
Barger
great.
Street made Channel 12 News.
Yes.
Let me hear you say it.
Barger Street did.
Bugger.
So just a couple of things. This month, the Sons of the American Legion will be starting back up their breakfast. It's the third Sunday of the month for $8 minimum recommended donation. That money raised goes towards helping other veteran services within our area. The breakfast runs from 9 to 11, and it has usually a couple types of pancakes, a couple types of eggs, some hash browns, some nice little breakfast. And that will start up. It is limited. I think their capacity allows them to only have 50 people at the in the dining area. So if you are interested, you could go on the Sons of the American Legion Post 1009 website or Facebook page and send a message about that. In addition, I have gotten some questions about the really nice military tribute banners that were hanging up last year. That program is going on again this year. Once again, that could be ordered through the Sun site, and I think it's on their Facebook page as well. And they are starting their honor fields with the American flags. We had the 12 of them up around the new flagpole at Veterans Memorial Park, but there are going to be some other sites, and you'll be able to pick. There's one at Downing Field, by the library, on Route 6, up at Granite Knolls, and there are still a couple of other sites that are being worked on as well. And once again, that information can be found on the Sons of the American Legion site. The Lions Club will be doing their golf outing June 7th at Somers National, which is in Heritage Hills. That will be also limited and have we will have social distancing there and proper safety precautions in effect both for the golfing and the meal period. If interested, YorktownLionsClub.com is their new website. So you could go on there and find some information out, even if it's to support with a whole sponsorship, or if you want to golf or do any other sponsorship, you'll find all the information on there. And the last thing, since we've been talking about charities, one of our local charities in town or services, I will call it my brother Vinny, that works with Veteran Services. I just personally would like to wish their fearless leader, Paula Miratello, a very, very happy birthday. I think it's today, but this week is definitely a birthday. It's a milestone birthday. I think she turns 21, is old enough to drink now. So I have looked diplomatic, but she's away enjoying some time. But I do want to wish her a happy birthday. If you're a friend of Paula's, please pass it on. And that concludes my report.
Hey, Councilman Lachman, if someone had already ordered one of those tribute banners last year, are they going back up this year, or how does that work?
Right. So they are enabled to have those rehung for $50 donation, and it covers some of the costs incurred with that. And this year they're going to be moving to a double-sided banner. There was a new offering. Mm-hmm. So I know one of the people has already said, well, don't put my old one up, I'll take that, and I want to purchase a new double-sided banner. And that was my mother-in-law, Rose. So nice job, Rosie.
Hey, Ed, I have a question about them. Where are you going to put them this year?
So we're looking to expand them. They'll be up in town again. Right. We had them coming down Underhill. We are probably going to refrain from Commerce Street, because then they have to be taken down and moved.
Okay.
But we had them coming down Underhill and around by Railroad Park, which mm-hmm. that'll start. Oh, by the way, Railroad Park is another place for the honor flags as well, that Jim Materano Jr. has dedicated some space for the flags. And then we also have the availability to do some on the Shrub Oak side of town on East Main Street, which, I know Councilman Diana likes that idea, but I personally love that idea that it blends so well with not only the Veterans Day Parade there,
Yes.
but also the Americana of that
Mhm.
site, that Main Street look and the old houses there. I just think it's a wonderful, wonderful spot.
Absolutely.
And we do come down Veterans Road with some of those as well. Veterans Road in 202.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan, for asking.
Can I say something in reference to the taxes? You know, the two things I want to mention it. The taxes are not the volunteer contribution. Taxes are mandatory contribution enacted by the state, federal, and county, or wherever you live. So for the town taxes, there are many kind of different taxes combined together. The sum comes now in two. Right now is going to be for the county and state and other related services town providers. So there are, if you cannot pay all in one, you can pay in a two installment. And there are many ways, electronically, or you can go in persons, you can do it according to the paper you have it. But let me say something else. Larger portion of the taxes is a school. And so people always complain us to the town about the taxes. We cannot tell school to how to run their school budget because it's mandated by the New York State. And so, if you have any questions, please come to the budget hearing. Nobody show up at the budget hearing. And first and most important question, anybody say, oh, taxes are too high. Yes, but come and tell us if you don't like it something. This is my small little comment, those who are receiving their bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Patel. We're going to forego the highway superintendent's report unless we have Dave in the waiting room. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the proclamation. It is National Autism Awareness Month, and so I'm happy to read the following proclamation. Whereas April is Autism Awareness Month and April 2nd, World Autism Awareness Day, and whereas individuals with autism are recognized members of the Yorktown community who contribute to the fabric of our town. And whereas statistics show that more than 2% of American adults have autism, as do 1 in every 54 children. And whereas there is not one autism, but because it is a spectrum disorder, each person with autism has a distinct set of strengths and challenges. And whereas autism can cause challenges with verbal and nonverbal communication, social interaction, and repetitive behaviors, and whereas autism can affect anyone regardless of age, race, ethnicity, gender, or socioeconomic background, and whereas early intervention has proven to enhance learning, communication, social skills, and underlying brain development, and whereas there are many organizations, including Autism Speaks and Spark, that provide educational and programmatic services to children and adults with autism, and whereas the town of Yorktown is committed to creating a kinder, more inclusive community for people with autism and other conditions. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the town of Yorktown recognizes and celebrates April as Autism Awareness Month, and be it further resolved, the town of Yorktown recognizes and celebrates April 2nd as World Autism Awareness Day, and be it further resolved, the town of Yorktown recommits itself as a leader in creating a kinder, more inclusive community for people of all abilities. Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And we are thrilled to welcome some of our leaders from Spark with us tonight. We have Kathleen and Kara. Good evening. How are you all?
Hi, good evening, everybody.
How are you?
Great to see you.
Thank you so much for having us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for jumping on with us. We are thrilled to recognize the Autism Awareness Month, and considering the great work that Spark does in our community, we wanted to invite you to the town board and share some of the services and programming that you provide to our residents. Motion carries. And, thank you. I don't know if you got all that. I can say it again if you'd like.
That's okay. I got it.
Great.
Thank you for recognizing autism awareness. It's really an important topic, and it's really important for everyone to understand what it is as a community. And at first, I'd like to say thank you so much for the town board and for Matt Slater, as well as the Park and Recreation Department for always supporting us. Over the years, Spark has been around for 32 years in Yorktown. And over the years, they've been really supportive of us, providing us with resources and facility usage for our programs. So it's really important. So thank you so much. So as Matt was saying, in terms of autism awareness is not just about the person with autism and making people aware what it is. It's also about promoting inclusivity for that person, to make people aware of self-determination, that it's really important for that person with autism to be able to be their own advocate.
Right.
And also to really promote that the person really deserves a good quality of life. And all of these topics that I've mentioned, all of these factors, it's something that we do at Spark. We make sure that everyone is included and that that person really has a great quality of life. Last year, Spark decided to change their logo, and we felt that it was really important for us to include learn, laugh, and live. And all those three factors we do at Spark. We make sure that individuals enjoy themselves, but at the same time, they're really learning, and there's always an opportunity for them to expand their skills. And to live. So live, for us, is more so an individual really being part of the community, living, as well as ensuring that they are included, as well as that they are advocating for themselves when they're out in the community. So those are the things that we teach at Spark. And I'd like to introduce Kara. Kara is one of our program coordinators. So she can talk a little bit more about our programs and what we really do there.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Kathleen.
Hi.
Hi, Matt. Good to see you guys. So I am specifically the Teen and Young Adult Program Coordinator, and I have the privilege of working with some wonderful, wonderful participants and their families. And currently, we are providing virtual programs as well as in-person programs, which we are most grateful for. When COVID hit, we couldn't do the live programs, and we had to provide them virtual programs. So we're still doing that. Some of the virtual programs that we're currently doing are life skills, for instance. As Kathleen said, it is a big part of Spark to make sure our participants are prepared to interact with the community and also have a voice. We also have an art virtual program currently. The participants follow the instructor, and by the end of the evening, they've drawn a full picture, and it's incredible. And we take pictures at the end to show the progress. It's really wonderful. We're also offering virtual games. We have virtual social hours. We have a Pilates program. I recently was able to connect with a Pilates instructor who's pretty popular on YouTube, and he was a special virtual guest for our participants. It was great. We have yoga. We have no-bake cooking. The list goes on. Our in-person programs include bowling at Spins in Mount Kisco. We also are starting an awesome program called Girls Empowerment, and we're really excited for this one. It's going to be advocating for the ladies, teaching them how to have a voice, make them aware of things, like, again, life skills and such. Hopefully I can get some really inspiring and interesting guest speakers to be good role models for them. We also have our Friday night programs. So one of those will take place at the Yorktown Spark office, and we also have one in White Plains. We also have our tennis program, which is wonderful. In the beginning, it was playing outside, but it's, but we have a nice big space at Club Fit, so it works out. We also are bringing back our film program, which is very big for Spark. The film program is wonderful. We work with some very skilled, video editors and talented filmmakers, and the participants actively create plays, commercials, stories, and such, and they film it. And we take the whole year's worth of progress and they make a small movie, and then they showcase it to the families and people of Spark. It's a big deal. We call it Red Carpet. I'm very excited that we're starting this up again. We also have a virtual movie night. I forgot to mention that. Every Saturday night, our participants look forward to joining in with their friends and watching a movie and discussing it and such. We have mini golf starting up. We have golf. I'm sure I'm missing other programs. We have horseback riding. It's really awesome right now.
That's
So-
great.
Can I just say something? This is really a great program, Kara and Kathleen. And I just want to ask you, there is a next door the school, and I was wondering whether any kind of a partnership or something with the community in the future, because they have a bigger resources and we have a playground and all like that. Maybe each one teach one or each one help each other. Wonderful program for the community, because you may never know, you may need their shoulder to lean on in a family, friend, or neighbor, So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
So to answer your question, we already have a partnership with Yorktown School District. We provide Kids Express and Little Spirit. That's what the program is called. And that's an after-school program that we provide in each of the school, at elementary, at Mohansic, at Brookside. So we already have that connection. And we also provide that same program at Lakeland schools.
Mhm.
So we have a great partnership with the school district already.
That's
So
wonderful.
as Kara was saying, we do provide all different ages, children to adulthood. And as Kara has describing all the services that we provide, the more resources, supports, and services you provide for an individual with disabilities, the longer and quality of life they will have, the better quality of life they would have. So it's really important to start early. The earlier, the better. But with resources, supports, and helping an individual with disabilities, they really can be a productive member of society.
Yes.
That's really important.
That is so important with what you just said. When I was town clerk, I had a young woman who has autism as an intern in my office.
Wow.
And Claire started very, very meek, very quiet, very quiet. But by the time she left us 6 months later, she had grown into this young woman who would run to the window to talk to people. Before she said, I can't do that. By the time she left, it is just give them a chance
Mhm.
and watch them grow.
Yep.
And then in addition, it's just to see their progress from the beginning, with the virtual programs that we offered before, they might have been a little more closed off in person, but behind the screen, they're much more comfortable. We have
Mhm.
participants who sometimes lead in the check-in portion of our programs because they're comfortable and they have really great leadership qualities they didn't know they had. Sometimes they
Yeah.
share the screen, they show us their artwork. We have participants who are literally becoming special guests for our programs and leading aerobics and such. Really quickly, I didn't mention to you a big part of Spark. We have a program called Link Up, and it is a wonderful program. It's for, I would say, young adults, teens and young adults who are not quite ready to go to college yet or who need a little extra guidance when it comes to having a job. So it takes place in White Plains, and it's usually from like 9 to 2. And now we just recently added on some extra program times after those times. And they have wonderful, wonderful experiences. I've personally subbed a few times. It's incredible. They have a lot of time in the community. They walk around, they get tours, they meet special people, they learn skills, they make videos. It's very inspiring. It's very important that we have this program because they're learning. They are
Absolutely.
really growing. It's phenomenal.
And I just like to add in terms of what Councilwoman Alice is saying. Actually, one person who graduated, or she went through our Link Up program. Her name is Rachel. So she came on board with us actually when she was 15 years old, and just recently she came. She's now 23 years old,
Mhm.
and she just recently came to us for an interview, and she was
Wow,
interviewed with
Oh,
Spark for
That's
actual job at Spark.
yes.
That's great.
Yes, so
She has
that's
an
full circle.
internship right now.
What a
Mhm.
blessing.
So, when I just make a comment, when I was at IBM, there was one scientist had difficulty speaking, like that.
Mhm.
The number of invention he has made, well, he was honored at the White House, and he has so many patents. Now he's working with the Google after he retired. I mean, he has made tremendous impact around the globe with the small devices invented by them. I mean, it's just whether it's a speech or moving and like that. It's just a tremendous contribution to the society. It's just like the LASIK surgery was invented at IBM. The scientists, we work together over there in the same department. All he took is his little turkey cartilage and
Mhm.
wrote with the IBM with the UV laser.
Wow.
That became a LASIK invention, LASIK surgery, really. And
Wow.
the three guys they have received every award except the Nobel Prize. And then the last thing, because Nobel Prize is a little complicated thing, because so many people ask for it. But these three individuals, one from Yorktown, one from Mount Kisco, and one from White Plains, they were in the same department. And they have every award possible in the world. They have received it except the Nobel Prize. So what happens? They were honored at the White House. And you know what happened? As soon as the first lady came and they hugged those three,
Hmm.
the two, not three,
Yes.
because one of them, he just died before going to the White House. And there was a very big celebration. So why she had? Because she had a LASIK surgery before,
Oh,
and my children, they had a LASIK surgery, and my son used to come to the IBM, and when he had the LASIK surgery, and the superintendent of the West Point, he showed the picture that, look, this is the guy, they invented LASIK. So this little thing made a tremendous impact on the world. So how many people can see, I mean, it's really wonderful. So I really thank you, what you do for our community, and it's really wonderful thing for our entire, town, and maybe wherever you can help, because it is the best thing can happen. Those who cannot see, they cannot hear it. There's so many inventions make a really big difference in human life. So thank you.
Kathleen and Kara, quick question for you. So, if someone wants to support your organization, what's the best way for them to do it?
The best way to do is to call us at the office, 914-243-0583. And our
Great.
extension is 1110.
And if someone has a loved one that they want to get involved in some of your programming, how do they go about doing that?
They can go to our website and look at our services, but at the same time, give us a phone call. We'll help them get through the process of getting them enrolled and doing an intake process as well.
That's great.
So our website is www.sparc, S-P-A-R-C, Inc.org.
Awesome. And a Yorktown organization here for quite some time. We are just thrilled to have you as part of our community, and we are so just motivated and inspired by the work that you do. And I know you get to see the full product of that as you described to us, and it's so rewarding what you do. And we are just so thankful to have you here and call Yorktown home.
Definitely.
Thank you.
I just want to thank you, Matt, for writing in this resolution that the town of Yorktown recommits itself as a leader in creating a kinder and more inclusive community for people of all abilities. That really is important for each and every one of us
Yes.
to remember.
Yes. And it's funny, I've been talking to the president of Guiding Eyes, Tom Panic, as people who know Guiding Eyes has their global headquarters here. And we've been kicking around the idea of a Yorktown Abilities Advisory Committee. And so that's something that Kathleen and Kara, we'd love for you to participate in. We're kicking the tires on that and to see what we would need to do to get that off the ground. But, and that's part of that whole mission. And when I wrote this, obviously, that commitment and that recommitment for us as a community and as a town board is genuine. And so we want to make sure that we're providing as many opportunities as we can for people of all abilities to not just live here, but to excel here and to thrive here. And your work is a huge, huge component of that mission. So we again want to thank you and acknowledge you and appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight.
Thank you.
That sounds wonderful, Matt. I would definitely be interested in being part of that.
Great.
I think as you expanding, residents in Yorktown and businesses, it would be really important for us to actually have more programs here for people with disabilities.
Yeah.
Expand that.
Agree with you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's great. Well, again, we really do appreciate it. We thank you for your time. Does that, Councilman Lachterman, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I was just curious. Does your program offer work opportunities for your participants? And if so, how can a business get in touch with you if they are looking to support and fill those, fill some hiring needs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so to answer your question, yes, we have provided work opportunities for individuals with disabilities in our program in a volunteer basis. They have done that. We are trying to, one of the things I am looking for is hopefully with partnership with businesses, as well as maybe having some kind of collaboration with the farm, because I want to create a program where they can actually work the farm and then see it grow, and as well as then sell the product.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I really I'm kind of passionate about starting this up through Spark.
Let's have a conversation about that, Kathleen. I'd love to help you with that. We've been doing a lot of work with our farms here in Yorktown. Greg Brown's one of our great advocates, but we've got so many amazing farms here. I think they would welcome that opportunity wholeheartedly.
Great, wonderful. And so to answer your question, Councilman, and yes, definitely, we have done this in the past where we've collaborated with other businesses to do work.
How about the town? Have you collaborated with town government?
Not yet, no.
Well,
no.
Count me in. We'll have a conversation about that, and I'm sure that we can get that off the ground as well. But I'd love to open the doors to my office, and anyone that you feel would be interested in seeing what we do up in the supervisor's office. Love to have them there.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I know I have worked with Westchester Exceptional Children's School when I ran restaurants in the area, bringing some of their kids in, and I believe Park at the time. I don't know if Spark ever came in. And then when I was down in New Rochelle, I actually worked with a group of older citizens with special needs and created a program for one of the restaurants where they became a crew that did maintenance work in the restaurant, and
Right.
they got paid. It was not a volunteer, and even I want to say maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I ran into one of the gentlemen, and this was back in the early 2000s, and he still remembered it, still really appreciative of that fact, and he was at that point working at a job at I think it was ShopRite in Yonkers, and just it helped put him on a path to success. So I guess from the viewpoint of any business owners that are watching this meeting, the opportunities to have a great loyal employee who really wants to do well and can be a huge benefit for your business is out there, and to really take off your blinders to special needs and make sure that inclusiveness is there.
It also benefits that person. I just remember Claire, before we left, this is a kid who just blossomed.
Yeah.
And all she would needed was a chance.
That's right.
Absolutely. Well, again, Kathleen and Kara, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your incredible leadership and work within our community. You know that you've got an active partner here with the town of Yorktown and the town board and the town clerk's office. So we stand ready and able, and we look to work with you on accomplishing our recommitment to, again, creating that kinder and more inclusive community for people of all abilities. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Further conversations.
Thank you for
Appreciate
coming.
it.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Well,
It's just inspiring stuff. It really is. I love it.
I do.
Let's go over to our poet laureate, John McMullen. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Matt. Matt, may I make one comment on the subject you're just talking about?
Yes, please.
The Pleasantville School District has arranged with Westchester Community College where they take students, autistic students, and they, up to the age of 21, there's a special program. They get to take all of the courses leading toward jobs. And my wife teaches computer things there, but I don't believe that Lakeland or Yorktown have anything like that, working with Westchester community.
Well, maybe
But
that's something that we
they're all
can
set
work
up
on
to do
together.
it.
That sounds like a great program. Maybe we can work together on introducing that to our local school districts.
Okay, vaccine ramblings. My wife, Barbara McMullen, and I received a second vaccine shot in the arm on March 11, 2021. The date held special significance for me. It was the 70th anniversary of my father's death. Some background. I have no problem with shots, no fear of getting them, never reaction to any of them. Barbara, on the other hand, is never happy about taking them, often has arm pain after taking them. We each had the Moderna injection at 11 a.m., waited a half hour at the facility, then went home. She had some swelling in the arm and minor pain. I had neither, just a normal reactions. Just a normal reactions until 2 a.m. when I woke up with a scream and the worst pain in my life, a worthless left arm, worse than kidney stones, broken wrist, snapped right tendon, assorted basketball injuries, or so it seemed. I was told by an online nursing friend that I should ice it in 15-minute periods, and a strong reaction indicated that the vaccine was working. Small solace. By the next morning, the pain was tolerable. It returned in lesser degree every night for the next 4 days, probably brought on by my turning over in the arm in sleep. Was the excruciating experience worth it? Absolutely. Now I probably won't die from the coronavirus, nor will you if vaccinated.
Yes.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Okay, we're going to go to public hearings. I'm sorry, courtesy of the floor. Jeez. Courtesy of the floor, we'll go over to our town clerk, Diana Quah. You want to let us know who we have?
I have first up is Elise Graham.
Great. Elise, good evening. And just as a reminder, as I always like to remind folks, you don't have to wait for town board meetings to bring your concerns to the town board. You can just go to the town's website. All of the info on how to contact each and every one of our town board members is available there. And any resident can reach me here at Town Hall at 914-962-5722, extension 200, or can email me at mslater@yorktownny.org. Elise, good evening.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Elise
Hi,
Graham. Hi. Thank you once again for the opportunity to speak to you at courtesy of the floor. It's appreciated. I'm a 20-year member of the Garden Club of Yorktown. And first, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Jim Mortarano and his staff for all of their assistance in helping us at the Garden Club to beautify both the downtown Heights area as well as Shrub Oak. And I hope you all noticed the pansies and the planters. We think they cheer up the streetscape until we get the summer season flower arrangements and that'll be on May 10th. The members of the Garden Club of Yorktown are all committed to improving the aesthetics of the downtown area and making it a pleasant place for residents to shop and stroll. But I'm concerned about what the group will think if the anticipated growth of Yorktown is not adequately analyzed and addressed. And this brings me to the question of whether the town board is addressing what the cumulative impact will be of the traffic generated by the many development projects now being considered.
Yeah.
Supervisor Slater and the town board have done a fantastic job attracting development to the town, development that could spur economic growth. As I understand it, the following projects are anticipated. Soundview, the 165 proposed residential units, Yorktown Green, 150 proposed residential units, the Roma building, the wine property, the hotel, and I understand there are other pending projects. These are all foreseeable projects, and the cumulative impact on traffic will be extraordinary and unmanageable and must be addressed now before any approvals are issued. I think a traffic study must be undertaken as soon as possible so that Yorktown grows in a safe, thoughtful way. Is there a traffic study underway? And please remove the Soundview property from the overlay district. And I want to thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Elise. Thank you as always. Next.
Next is Patricia Sullivan Rothberg.
Great. Good evening, Mrs. Rothberg. How are you?
Hi, good evening, Town Board.
Hey,
And,
Trish.
hi,
evening.
thank you, Diana. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak. Several of our members from the Committee for a Sound Plan for Soundview have appeared before courtesy of the floor multiple times, probably maybe averaging 5 times. And the Town Board has repeatedly refused to answer some of our questions, most of them. At the end of courtesy of the floor this evening, would you take a moment to just review the courtesy of the floor process and answer the questions? What is the target audience? What is the courtesy of the floor purpose? Who in the town is recording the courtesy of the floor questions? And what is the town board's obligation to answer the questions posed by residents or others at courtesy of the floor, either during or after the meeting? And lastly, where can residents locate the town board's answers to our questions? Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next.
Next, we have Susan Siegel.
Okay. Good evening, Ms. Siegel.
Good evening. Okay, there's a time lag from watching on the computer, okay, but I'm here. I'd like to address some of the misconceptions about what type of housing will be available at the Underhill Farms development that's being proposed for the Soundview property. There's an assumption that's going around town that a large number of the units will be for senior housing. This assumption is wrong and it needs to be corrected. I think the members of the town board know that it's wrong, and it's their responsibility to correct this misconception. As members of the town board know, Soundview's owner, Unicorn Contracting, is not seeking rezoning for senior citizen housing like Jefferson Village or Beaver Ridge. Yorktown does have special zones for senior housing, but that's not what Underhill Farms is all about. Encouraging more senior housing, especially affordable senior housing, is an admirable goal. But again, Yorktown Farms plan is not a senior development. It's a straight multifamily development that will be open to anyone regardless of age. But there's a second point that needs to be made and also clarified for the community. I'm sure that all town board members are familiar with the Federal Fair Housing Act that prohibits discrimination, and that includes age discrimination. The Fair Housing logo is also on the town's website. So as long as Soundview isn't rezoned for senior housing, the developer can set aside any units exclusively for seniors, whether for sale or for rent. The units will be available to young and old alike on a first-come, first-served basis and at market rates, as the developer has refused to commit to setting aside any units for at an affordable price. So I hope the town board tonight will address this issue in order to put an end to this misconception that is really being deceiving to some of our seniors. There will be no units at Underhill Farms that can be set aside exclusively for seniors. Thank you, and I look forward to your response.
Thank you, Ms. Siegel.
Yes.
Anyone else for courtesy of the floor?
I'm just going to check one last time, but that's all that I'm aware of that's on right now. Oh, hold on one second. Sergio just came in.
Yeah.
Sergio Esposito.
Okay. Good evening, Sergio. Mr. Esposito, how are you? Oh, you're muted. If you can unmute yourself.
I know. Just got back from baseball. Baseball's back. So my son was playing over in Montrose. I forget how fatigued you get just sitting there watching the baseball game. So anyway, I want to be quick. I want to thank the town board for eliminating the fee once again for
outside dining and outside stuff for really, it's not just for restaurants, as I understand it, it's for pretty much any kind of business that wants to have something outside. I know we did that last year, and it was tremendously helpful to all our businesses in Yorktown. And I wanted to thank you guys once again. I also wanted just to announce that since we were talking about farms, White Oak Farm, Bry Hart, they're the only commercial maple syrup producer. They're right here in Yorktown, and they are actually looking for full-time, part-time employees, and I think it starts at $16 an hour. So I'm going to post it on the chamber site, but I just wanted to get it out there to everybody out there. I know people are looking for jobs, and this seems to be something quite interesting and different. So anyway, again, I want to thank everybody for what you did for our business.
Thank you, Sergio.
Thank you, Serge. Anyone else for courtesy of the floor?
I don't have anybody else, no.
Okay. Motion to close. Courtesy of the floor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Can I take a question too?
Yeah.
All right. Elise, where is she? I just want to thank.
There she is.
I just want to thank you and the other members of the Garden Club.
Yes.
For the plants. They do make you smile as you drive by. I believe we had an RFP, a request for proposals, out for a traffic person. So we are working. We're getting there. And Trish, as far as is answering questions with regard to any of the applications that you've read in the paper that might come to the new district we're looking at, I can't answer them because we can't. We don't even know what the proposed law, what it's going to look like in the end. And what it looks like in the end, the developers may or may not like them. So I can't answer your questions at this point. And actually, the law would not want me to answer a question at this point because we haven't gotten an application. You can have the rest.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think that the problem, again, that we've been facing is that there are perceived applications which have not been actually filed for consideration because the law that would enable those to be processed has not been passed. And for those reasons, we continue to focus on the overlay district legislation, which is the enabling legislation for a number of these projects to have an application, which will then be vetted, and all those answers, all those questions will be answered. Also to Councilwoman Roper's point, we had an RFP out on the street for a traffic consultant. Our planning department is going through those who did respond, and we hope to have that on the town board work session next week. They know that's a high priority of ours, so that will answer to Elise's question the traffic concerns that she raised, because I think we recognize it, we agree with it, and we also recognize that we need to have our own traffic expert who's protecting the interests of the town of Yorktown and not just the interests of a proposed applicant or developer. Elise, if I can also just thank you and the Garden Club for doing your great work on Commerce Street. I believe you also have your flower sale coming up right before Mother's Day over at, I believe it's in the parking lot over at the Yorktown Green, and we'll be sharing some more information on that to support the Garden Club and the great work that you all do for our community.
Thanks, Matt.
You're very welcome. Any other comments from the board? Mr. Rodriguez, did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, if the board is finished, or I can just go.
Let's see if the board members have any other comments. Any other board members have comments?
Sure. I just wanted to say in the addressing of the senior housing, so to speak, from what I garnered from the presentation that was made by Unicorn, was that there were going to be a large percentage that would be senior accessible.
Right.
the thing that I have heard from a lot of seniors is that they are not necessarily looking for a Jefferson Village type of setting. They're not looking primarily for something that offers that whole senior community, but something where they are looking where they could downsize and stay in Yorktown. And that seems to be the priority of a lot of our seniors. You know, what can they do to downsize and stay in Yorktown? I ran into one gentleman who's written a couple of letters, Brian Wolfson, and he said, I'm not ready for a senior community, but I certainly do not want to try to keep up with the house because it's getting to be too much. And I think that's really what these projects offer for our seniors, an opportunity to downsize and stay in Yorktown. And I did not catch it being proposed in any other way as being a senior-based community.
You're 100% correct, Ed. You're 100% correct. It was going to be senior access, senior friendly, and then like which is what we want. We want to keep our families here in Yorktown. And a lot of the questions that are being asked, I don't think we have all the answers to yet, to be quite frank with everybody, because they're still in planning, they're still in design, it's in its infancy. So, we're not trying to hedge the questions or anything like that. We're trying to, do our due diligence to find out exactly what's going on. But you're 100% right, Ed. It's senior access, not senior living. And as Ed said, many of the seniors I've spoken to are on board with that type of situation where they don't have the maintenance and they can pay rent and be very happy.
Tommy, I'm going to have to say something because senior access to me doesn't mean anything. It's going to be an open community, just like every other community is, right? Is that what you mean? It's not senior.
Well, no.
In other words, it'd be like a ground, for argument's sake, ground floor. It's easier for seniors to enter and exit and so on and so forth. So it's not a senior facility per se.
Okay.
But it's going to have that type of unit in it so that it makes it easier for the seniors who may have some handicaps or difficulty walking.
Let me just say something really. Initially, I have very limited information about this project. No, that's why I'm just saying it here. This is my view and nobody else's view, okay? So the town does not have affordable unit as used to be before next to the railroads over there. And they renovated and they become unaffordable rent. People, those who had a difficulty and no income, so it was possible for them to stay. Then things changed. And then another building on, Keir Street, you can't even get in there. I voted for that one. I can't even get in there. How it looks like inside, it was locked up. And so people asking me, guy, I don't know who you asking is, me. I'm telling you my own view that people, senior citizen, okay, they want to downsize or everything it's how much money they have and how much they can afford and all that. This is decided by them. But if somebody asks you, how much is the rent and all that, how we don't have anything for those policemen, firemen, new teachers, something, or we are missing that point in this program, People are asking me, that one side you talk about the, helping the people. Is this a gentrification of the area? They are asking me like that. I don't know. I need to know all these things. I do not know anything. So, and then there is another question has come to me, asking me that, listen, why you want to just, change overlay zone, that means you don't have to do anything else at all. You can just go and do whatever you want, planning board, everything else. Is this really the whole idea? I don't know. I don't know. I got to find out. And they own the land. They have right to build within the bounds of the law. Those are experts, those who have spent their lifetime living in the town, and those who have served in the town on many, many volunteer boards. They are asking the same questions, that, the traffic, the water, the sewer, you're going to need more police. So all this thing has to be, discussed now or whenever. So is this the most important thing, is to approve the overlay zone everywhere? That is asking me the question. This is undigestible filet mignon in front of me, okay? I have not tasted it. And some are vegetarian, okay? They don't eat meat. And some of cannot afford it. So just a simple, my question, I'm asking the people, and I want to talk to the people. They are the one put me in. And I am going to go and listen to them, and we all decided what is good for the town. Because this is really the, the word, I don't like it to use that one, really, gentrification. It has happened all the time. So we have to be really careful what we do for all the people, most of the people, not some of the people. That is my
You're right, Bishop. You're right. We have to do what's right for the people in this town, and that the way I understand it on all of this housing issue is that it's going to be market rate housing for individuals, whether they're seniors, whether they're young families, whether they're firemen, policemen, teachers, nurses, doctors, whoever it might be. It's going to be market rate. What that market rate is, I believe, there was some talk of somewhere between $200 and $3,500 a month, but I could be off on my number. But those were some numbers that were thrown around some time ago. So don't quote me on that, please. So that's what most of these places. What's that? What's that, Alice? Might as well have a mortgage. $3,500, $2,000 to $3,500. So but I don't know. That's like I say, it's in its infancy, and we're still exploring a lot of things, and we want to do what's right for the people of the town of Yorktown.
Right.
My really questions, I think this has maybe not have a, directly impact now, but look at this. Electric bill. The bill is longer than a George Washington Bridge, whole from one end of the river to the other. The telephone, triple pay, the optimum and the television, and then they have a menu within the menu on everyday advertisement comes. That's to $300. That to electric bill. People have Social Security, very limited money, and then whatever their small pension, whatever, there are others, So there are many things. Many people have asked me, and I want to listen to me. I still can hear. I don't need a hearing aid, and I can read without the glasses. Until now, my cataract will come out. But this is our duty. I can tell you that. My duty, because we are all your servant. Okay? If you put in here, you can slap me. Okay? If you don't like me, it's okay. But I have to listen to you, and no hurry. Okay, I'm not going to run 1, 2, 3 because this is the people's town. Nancy Elliott wrote a letter in the New York Times. There was something else, and I think I have forwarded the police department that thing, and it really was unbelievable. This is the people's land. They own. They can build whatever they can within the bound of the law, but then they want to change the law just to help some people. These are the questions. I don't know.
Vishnu, I think you've hit the nail on the head. And I'm going to speak about me, and hopefully it pertains to every one of the 5 of us. I live my life. I live this life when I work here by listening. I don't prejudge anything. What we've done is to come up with a proposal which a lot of people like and a lot of people hate. and it will come up. It's gone to our professional staff to give us their input. But the next time we meet, we'll be meeting in I don't know what the date of our public hearings will be on the issue, but people will be able to listen. And like I said earlier, we have a proposed local law right now.
Right.
That law might change by the time we're out of public hearing based on a lot of different things. But I'm not going to sit here and try to prejudge anything. I can't. That's not what the law allows me to do.
And Councilwoman Roker, we already have listened and proven that by amending the law.
Right.
We did based on a number of factors, including public comment.
Right.
So to that point, we are doing our jobs. We are listening. To your point, I think that the overlay districts are the proposal and the enabling legislation to get to the next phase, which are these applications, which we can't speak to yet because it hasn't been finalized. The enabling legislation hasn't been finalized. And as we've seen with other projects, they could just walk away.
Yeah.
We've seen that too.
No, but may I just say something?
Hold on 1 second.
Guys,
Councilman
you know, I know a lot of world-class architect and engineer, and financial guys, you know, through family, whatever it is. And, you know, investment doesn't guarantee the profit, okay? All right, you lose your hair, depending on the market goes up and down, you know, it's like a yo-yo ball, you know? So forget about that because we don't have to worry about that. Our responsibility is providing the water, sewer, the road, the traffic, the police protection, the school, you know, all these things are in the same project, you know. You cannot see it, you know. You need a microscope. No, there are smaller problem. You cannot look with an only microscope. You need an electron microscope, such like a virus, coronavirus. You cannot see through the microscope. It is just small, there's a smaller problem like that, okay?
But Councilman Patel, you know, just like every other proposal that comes to the town, every proposal gets the same level of scrutiny and we'll get the same level of examination and we'll get the same level of feedback from our professional staff. And in this case, what we're trying to do is bring on our own traffic consultant. We've also discussed our own environmental consultant. And so the town is trying to put those safeguards in place so that when the time comes to vet individual applications, that our interests as a community are equally as protected.
Absolutely.
So the final, whenever and if happens, the entire real blessing has to come from the town board and not the planning or planning board. I can tell you that, you know.
Well,
this is the very, because some of the things, you know, you want to, you know, you have to listen to the people.
Right.
Those who lives around there, they say the amount of taxes we are paying it is much more than you're going to get it from them, not $1 million, okay? So how can I answer, you know? How can I answer?
As you know, with the legislation that you've been given, has criteria for it to review any application before it's considered by the planning board as part of the overlay district.
So, you know, I would like to have a hard copy, okay? And not the email.
I'm going to personally bring it to your house tomorrow. Maybe we
No, I can come over there. Don't worry about that. I have 2 cars now, one for my wife and one because she doesn't usually. I don't put too much mileage anymore.
We can meet outside of Panera, and I can buy you a cup of coffee. No problem.
No coffee. I don't go drink anything anyplace else. Okay? I can come over there. I can come to the gazebo. I can pick up a little garbage can over there. Or you want to help me at the backyard garden?
Tell me where to meet you, Councilman. I'll be there. No problem.
All right. Okay.
Vishnu, I'll bring my nickel. You bring $100.
I have right here.
No.
I got right over here. Unbanned, you know.
We can, folks, if we can, just to refocus here. We do have Sarah Wilson from Sierra Club. I wasn't sure if Sarah, I understand, Sarah, were you here for courtesy of the floor or are you speaking on a public hearing?
No, I was here for courtesy of the floor, and I'm sorry that my name says Sierra Club. That was my last Zoom meeting.
There was just some confusion about Sarah. Can we, would the board be willing to reopen courtesy of the floor for Sarah to speak?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, motion open courtesy of the floor.
Motion to
Reopen.
Floor.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm not here to talk about overlay districts tonight. I'm here, I'm a 30-year resident of Yorktown, Sarah Wilson, and I'm here in my capacity as organizer of the Yorktown Repair Cafe. I'm pleased to let all of our residents know that we will again be holding our Repair Cafe right here in Yorktown, outdoors in the parking lot at Grace Lutheran Church at the corner of Curry and Gomer Street on Saturday, April 24th, between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. So participate in the Battle of Yorktown, clean up all the roadside litter, but take an hour to bring your broken but beloved item and let one of our repair coaches take a look at it and see if it can be repaired. We can handle lamps, small appliances, bicycles, clocks, fabrics, toys, wooden items, including furniture, tables, chairs, ceramics, jewelry, computers and other electronics, even your sick houseplants. Anything that's broken.
Oh, I have that.
Computer is a not very good idea because it's not really repairable item. It costs more money to get the parts. Maybe something wire loose is okay, but it's much because the speed. Old computer maybe have a speed unless you want an antique. Then it's a different story. That doesn't work. It's just for the show.
Well, we'll take a look at it and let you know whether it's worth.
I give you
repairing or
free
not.
whatever you want. I have plenty of those stuff.
Okay, so
Thanks.
if our residents do want to attend, just go to the Town of Yorktown community calendar, go to April 24th, click on the link. It'll show you a link to sign up in advance. That way we don't have people waiting. Everybody, of course, has to wear a mask, even though it's outdoors. And by promoting repairs instead of throwing items away, we can help reduce all the waste that otherwise ends up in our landfills. We all know what bulk trash days look like around here. So we want to try to cut down those items that are getting thrown out. So far, we've diverted about 270 repaired items and kept them out of the trash stream here in Yorktown. And we really enjoy providing this volunteer service to our residents.
Yeah, I want to add something in your comment. You know what? Really, the town Earth Day and cleanup day coming in. I think people should have some garbage or extra stuff, take it out from their house and put it on your street. Maybe somebody take away, or and some of the people they buy the paint, gallons and gallons. They use a little bit. I think or some small items, like hand tools and like that. If you want to throw it, people can take it away. So the next day, if it is some common place, then only the one town truck comes and pick it up, because eventually they pick it up anyway, right? So we should have this kind of thing, a little concrete cement, some can of paint. Some people can really use it. And then I want to volunteer that if anybody moving from the town or have a difficulty in how to properly remove and dispose fertilizer, chemical, something, call me and I will come to your home 24/7, 962-4563. 962-4563, because anything you dump in the garbage, something and all that inappropriate, and there are some people they mix the oil or kerosene in the wrong container. I think it's a very difficult problem to solve sometime, because you put in a truck and it can explode because of the oxidation occurring with the other material, and the temperature goes, it can blow up the trunk. It has some solvent inside, and so we should have this kind of maybe town-wide flea market. You just put it that day, and then if some places they have it like that, like somewhere in a church or somewhere, people can take it, and then you have to go only with the one truck at the one place and not run around in the whole town. We should have a program like this, once, twice, a year like that. And that will help us. People can take away some of the useful thing, and then remaining we just dispose of the way we do the bulk trash.
Very nice.
Thank you, Councilman Patel. Good idea. Okay, so we're gonna go. We're gonna close courtesy the floor again, unless there are any other comments for Sarah.
Motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great. Sarah, thank you very much. Looking forward to the cafe again over at Grace Lutheran.
Thank you.
We're going to go move forward with our agenda to our public hearings. We have two. We're going to begin with convening a public hearing to consider a petition for zoning and site plan amendments submitted by Cuddy and Fetter on behalf of Kitchewan Barnes LLC for property located at 712 Kitchewan Road. We're going to ask the town clerk. Give our town-
It would be you. That'd be you, Diane.
we'll have our town clerk show the notice, and we're going to hand it over to Taylor Palmer. Thank you. Taylor, good evening.
Good evening, Supervisor Slater, members of the town board. As the supervisor mentioned, Taylor Palmer with the law firm of Cuddy and Fader on behalf of the applicants this evening. We are here before the board for our public hearings for Tracer's petition for a zoning amendment to the existing transitional zoning classification for the premises, and in furtherance of Tracer's proposed minor sign amendment to the existing office and flex space on the property. Mike's Bodendorf, our engineer, is pulling up the thank you, Mike, Exhibit C from our submission package. As the clerk nicely showed, a proof of service package was provided to the town clerk for the notice of these public hearings. Tonight, again, I am joined by Michael Katz of Kitchewan Barnes LLC, the applicant and owner of the property. I'm also joined by Mike Bodendorf of Hudson Land Design, our engineer, and Peter Wintermantle of the firm of REA Siegel Architect, who's our project architect, as well as my colleague, Rebecca Volk from Cuddy and Fader. If I may, Mr. Supervisor, for the benefit of the public in attendance this evening, as this board is aware, we previously appeared at the town board's December 8th work session of last year, and again at the March 9th work session this year. At that time, the town board declared itself lead agency under seeker for this unlisted action. And for the record, we note that the Westchester County Planning Department did provide its comments dated March 26th. Also, for the record, we did just recently submit some letters of no objection that were provided by the adjacent property owners at 709 Kitchewan and 716 Kitchewan Road. So those are adjoining and abutting property owners of the property. Since we last appeared before the town board on March 9th, we've had a busy couple days with some other boards in the town. We met with the town's conservation board, as well as the planning board on March 18th and March 31st, respectively, and they did provide advisory comments to the town board. And we also received comments from I know the town attorney can say this better than me, but ABICA, the advisory board on architecture and community appearance, they did provide their correspondence. And we did just receive today comments from the town engineer. So quickly, by way of brief background, we know we have a busy agenda ahead of you tonight. The project previously appeared before the town in 2017, and at that time we were seeking a zoning amendment and site plan approval. Until 2017, the former property was known as the Brooklyn Botanic Garden Corporation, property of the Kitchewan Institute. At that time, the 14.7 acre property was classified in the R1 200 residential zoning district, and the property was previously improved and is today, of course, improved by an existing office building, parking areas, and a large greenhouse and storage building. Mike, if you could be scrolling through Exhibit C just to show some of the background here for the benefit of the public, showing where the property is. Some of the prior uses on the property included a research laboratory, not-for-profit office space, laboratories and conference rooms. There was also publishing and then pharmaceutical research and animal testing on rodents. There was also a think tank and conference center operated on the site. The property is located to the north of the property is the 207 acre, Mike, if you scroll, Kitchewan Preserve, which is part of the Westchester County Park System. And the property is about 1.5 miles from IBM off to the west there on the image. Access to the site is provided off of Kitchewan Road, New York State Route 134, and it's over an existing right-of-way easement from Westchester County, who also actually has a right of first refusal over our property. As you mentioned, the applicant previously appeared before the town board for a petition to rezone the property into the transitional zoning district to allow for a for-profit office and flex space, now occupied by Tracer, who we've met with Stephen Spiro, the property owner and president of Tracer. This brought the property onto the tax rolls. The town board approved the applicant's petition to rezone the property in October of 2017, and then the town board also approved the site plan, which included part of what our proposal is this evening, a addition to the existing office building. We are now seeking an enlargement of that. Mike, if you can pull up Exhibit B, well, I'm just going through this quickly. Since the 2017 approvals, and these are all, for the record, these are all included in our petition submission to the town board, available for review. Since the 2017 approvals, Tracer's made some significant improvements. What Mike is showing you on the screen there is what the property interior looked like before Stephen and Michael got their hands on it and improved it for Tracer's use. So Mike, yeah, you can scroll down to the improved uses. In Tracer's occupancy of the building since 2017, the applicant was preparing to construct the addition to the existing office and flex space, and was determined that the operations, in part, due to the pandemic and others, the size of the structure was insufficient to achieve their needs. So Tracer hired R.A. Siegel Architect to help refine and maximize the space to make the addition more in character with the existing building. And this also involved meeting with the neighbors to discuss really what the addition, how best to really blend it with the existing characteristics of the building on the site, and really to make it a better all improvement. So in a moment, I'll turn over to our architect and engineer, but just quick little bits of background here. Importantly, the building will actually be located, this proposed addition that's before you for the site plan component of this submission, in the footprint of the prior storage and greenhouse foundation that was on the building. So that, Mike, that will be yes, that will be either in exactly. And that's shown also on Exhibit B. Normally, this would constitute a minor site plan amendment from the planning board, but because this was in the transitional zoning district, we are before the town board for both the rezoning or the zoning amendment care of the petition and the site plan amendment. What it comes down to as far as the changes to the site plan is a 0.02% increase in coverage. So we're previously 2.2% coverage. It's now 2.4, about 1,000 square feet of additional coverage, which Michael Bodendorf will review in his review as the engineer. And then we have some minor changes to the setbacks, which are significant. I mean, we're talking at the closest, the proposed addition is 160 feet from the nearest lot line. And that is also sufficiently screened and heavily, the topography there is pretty intense. We've already put in some screening trees there based on the 2017 approval. Notably, in the town, typically it's around 75 feet for a setback. So we're more than double at any closest point. You can see on the right of the screen there, we're 555.49 feet from the easterly property line. So we're set back. And for those that have visited the Kitchewan Preserve know, you really have to almost drive to the end of that driveway before you can even see this building coming off of Kitchewan Drive. So typically this would constitute a type 2 action under seeker, but because of the zoning amendment, it does constitute an unlisted action. And we understand the town board did circulate its intent for lead agency associated with that. We noted the Conservation Board provided some comments, and that's that they see no adverse environmental impacts on the project, and they recommend that it move forward. So with that, I'd ask our engineer, who has the plan up on the screen, just to show you what we're looking at more specifically and what we're doing here in connection with this addition. We'll quickly turn it to our architect, and then we'll turn it to the board for questions or questions from the public, of course.
Okay, thank you, Taylor. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Council. For the record, my name is Mike Bodendorf with Hudson Land Design Engineer for the applicant. And as Taylor mentioned, the general improvements are here. If you could see in this brown shaded area, and I'm just going to trace the existing footprint of the building. Not very well, but you can kind of see where I'm going with it. So that's generally the existing footprint of the building, which is approximately 2,045 square feet. We're proposing a approximate 3,140 square foot footprint in that location. So we'll have a little over 1,000 square feet of additional impervious for the addition of the building. And, some minor grading improvements surrounding the building, so forth. We prepared a erosion and sediment control SWIP to control erosion and sediment during construction and provide some mitigation post-construction to ensure that there are no downstream erosion problems and so forth. And just to reference the town engineer's comments, we will work with the town engineer to address the comments that were received this evening.
Great. Thank you, Mike. And with that, Peter Wintermantel, our architect, will go through the elevations for the public.
Okay, great. Good evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Peter Wintermantel, architect with REA Siegel Architect. I can just run you quickly through the proposed design, and just quickly to fill you in on the previous approval. It was a gabled roof structure, and the peak was approximately 26 feet high. So we've redesigned the exterior, so the overall height actually becomes lower. That roof building and the facade is broken up but the overall height now is 19 feet 8 inches. So it comes down and we break the structure up to blend in better with the existing building. Looking at here at the top of the screen, are a couple of renderings. So it would be cedar siding, it would be a painted green siding, and then a dark stained cedar siding is the brown there. So the taller structure there is the flat roof, standing seam metal roof on the lower portion. Pick up the overall volume and blend in better with the existing context. All the windows, it's all trim around all the windows, and we think this new design fits in better with the existing context.
Thank you, Peter. And with that, if there are specific questions, we're pleased to address them. And I turn it back to you, Matt, for how we can try and provide anything the board has, or if the public has any comments, we're happy to try and address those.
Great. I just want to mention, we do have our Director of Planning, John Tegler, with us, as well as our Town Engineer, Dan Ciarcia. Johnny there?
I'm here.
John, we received, obviously, your memo from the Planning Board and Planning Department. Anything that you want to add other than what was already articulated through your memo?
No, I don't think there's much to add. I mean, these guys have been doing a lot of presentations of late, and I think everyone is understanding the broad brush impacts of the project. I don't think, and obviously the planning board does not have any planning objections, nor do we. I only have a very minor question as to the elevation here, the north elevation. I just wonder why there's not any fenestration on that side, but that is not anything of great import. And we can answer it offline. It's really nothing that the board has to worry about too much. I don't think so. Other than that, no, I think that the project really presents minimal impacts.
Okay. Do we have Dan Ciarcia, our town engineer?
Yeah, I'm here. So the applicant did have an opportunity to see my memo and go through it. I guess the only other comment that I did want to raise on this, we want to make sure we're seeing the location of the wells and septic. That's kind of critical to knowing it's not going to be a conflict with the proposed work. The other thing, which is, I guess, unless I'm not seeing it in the elevations and the grading plan, the north elevation is up against what's in a retaining wall now. So as far as I could tell, it looks like there's 6 feet of grade differential from the north to the south side. The grading isn't fully shown, but it would appear that there's some issues, either retaining walls or a higher foundation wall might be necessary on that side of the building. So has that been addressed, or?
Taylor, anyone from your team want to comment on that?
Either Mike or Pete, do you want to try and tackle that, or we can certainly do,
Yeah, we'll work with the architect on addressing that. I'm assuming that it would be a high foundation wall, which would act as that retaining wall against the building. But we'll either way, we'll come back with revised plans that addresses that issue.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure it's touched on, because neither, it's really not addressed in the architectural plans or in the site plan. So that's the extent of my comments.
Okay. Any questions from the town board? Otherwise, we'll go to public comment.
Now I have a question.
Yes, Councilor.
I guess it's to Mr. Wintermantel. Have you seen the comments from Abaca?
We did review them, yes.
And you've addressed all of them?
Not at this stage. We
okay.
Still, we were reviewing them.
Yeah, I mean, Peter. Yeah, we had received those, unfortunately, after their last meet. They had received, I guess, the comments or referral after their last meeting.
Okay.
So we are working to resolve some of those we respectfully disagree somewhat with the characterization that we're moving much closer to the side lot line or any of the lot lines. We are very far set back, and I think part of it is this addition was previously approved. We're only enlarging it slightly, so it's not sort of a new application as much as it's an amendment to an existing approval. But we will be addressing those comments, put a formal letter together to make sure it highlights those responses.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the town board? Then we'll go. Sorry? No? Okay. Then we'll go to public hearing. We'll go to our town clerk, and Diana Quast, if you can let us know who we have for public hearing.
The only person that I have that requested was Sergio Esposito. And
is he still on?
Yeah, I have no comment.
Okay. Okay, very good. So my question to the board is if we want to, what is the board's appetite? Do we want to close? Do you want to adjourn?
No, I think we have to adjourn that because we have a date that's outstanding for secret.
Correct. Mr. Palmer, any objections?
Absolutely not. Mr. Supervisor, we would just ask that if a date certain may be provided to pass that 30-day seeker window, we'd appreciate that, and certainly pleased to leave the hearing open.
Okay, then we'll make a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just if I may, Mr. Supervisor, just what would be the date certain for the adjourned hearing so that we can?
Well, it seems to me, I'm going to ask Mr. Rodriguez.
I think April 22nd is the next available meeting agenda, but I won't speak for April 20th.
The 20th should be fine.
Okay, 20th.
I'm just going to check with our town clerk, Diana Quast. Does the 20th work for you?
20th is the next meeting, yes.
Okay, so then we'll adjourn it to the 20th, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, members of the board. See you soon.
Palmer, thank you to your team. We appreciate your time.
Thank
Okay, one down, one to go. We're going to convene a public hearing to consider a wetlands and stormwater permit application submitted by Christopher and Amanda Collier for the construction of a new house on property located at 2572 Gregory Street. We'll ask our town clerk to show notice. Okay. My question to the board is if we want to, what is the board's appetite? Do we want to close? Do you want to adjourn?
No, I think we have to adjourn that because
Thank you. Chris, if you can just turn off your TV. We're getting some back feed there. Or mute yourself, that'd be great. Okay. So we have members of Mr. Collier's team. Mr. Collier, are you there?
Yes.
Great. You want to introduce members of your team, and then we can ask maybe Joel if you want to walk through again.
Yeah. Okay. As you just said, we have the property owner, Mr. Collier. We have myself. We have Jerry Barrett, who is our landscape architect, and Steve Coleman, who is our environmental engineer. First of all, I just want to thank you all for sitting here till 9:20. It's a long night, but hopefully, things will come out in a good way. But the good news is, since we've been before the town board, the Conservation Board has approved our project. The Planning Board has no comments. I think you have a letter from the Planning Board. There was a question as to whether or not there was a violation. John Teggett was out to the site and indicated that there was no violation and everything that we did was correct and according to the code as far as the wetlands are concerned. We have also a memo I think you have from Dan Ciarcia, your new town engineer, indicating that he had no comments or questions and is in favor of the project. And we have some comments from the DEP, none of which are of any major consequence, although they don't have any approval power, but I guess the project was sent to them because of the wetlands, and I don't think we have any problem over there either. No. And we also have a memo from the Tree Conservation Board, and I think the answers to their comments will come along as our process continues. But I think I'd like to start first with our property owner, Chris Collier, who's got something to talk to you about, which maybe you're unaware of, and I think we will help the whole situation very much. Chris, you're on.
Mr. Collier?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks. We received Mr. Tegeter's comments after our Zoom conference that we had with our professionals, him and Mr. Ciarcia the other day. Some of those comments, or actually all those comments, I think were addressed in follow-up plans and letters from Jerry Barrett, Steve Coleman, and Joel. One of which was questioning the wetlands markout and how accurate and current it was. Prior to having the wetlands flags placed on the survey, we had them confirmed by the engineering department. So I hope that Will Batista from the engineering department met us at the site, met with the company that was doing the wetlands flag and confirmed the flags, and then we had them put on the survey. That was done at the direction of the engineering department, and it seemed like a good idea to have them confirmed prior to paying to have them surveyed. Did that, and I'm not a wetlands person. I assume that based on the two of them and their professional opinion that the survey and wetlands flagging was done correctly.
Good. Well, thank you very much. Jerry, you want to go on? I think you proceed with the drawings that we submitted to the town clerk, who's, and then I guess.
Hold on one second, Jerry. Before you go there, John.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
John, did your questions or issues get answered from your memo?
I think some of them did. And the material came in yesterday, so I haven't been through all of it yet. In particular, the plans. But in terms of what Chris just said, I want to be clear that I wasn't questioning the accuracy of the flags that were on the ground there. I did find some wetness outside of the wetland flagging, which I recommended that the environmental consultant discuss and handle. I'm not telling you that it is wetlands because I am not a wetland scientist. That's number one. The second discussion about wetland flagging was pursuant to the environmental consultant's report. There are two distinct wetlands that are shown on the site, and his report states that they are actually connected through the other property. And it's really just a housekeeping item that I believe that the lines of the wetland boundary should be shown as such. So that's that particular item.
Also, Matt, if I could just mention something too, in the notice on the agenda, it says the proposed work includes moving wetlands from the proposed house location to wetlands at the rear. That is not the case. There are two wetlands, as John Tegeter just said, and on the northern part, they do, off our property, not on our property, they do connect, but we're not moving any wetlands. Basically, there are no wetlands between the one in the front and the one in the back, and so we're not moving any wetlands. So I just want to make that clear so that if it's anywhere from the public or from the town board, that is not the case.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Joel.
You're welcome. And I'd like to have Jerry Barrett now respond to the comments that were discussed at the Zoom meeting with John Tegeter and Dan Ciarcia last week.
Okay, good evening. I'm Jerry Barrett. I'm the landscape architect and site planner for the project. Just to recap with what you guys were just talking about with the wetlands, there is a wetland on the property, and that there is a wetland system in the front here. There is a wetland system in the back here. And I think where John Tegeter was pointing out, then Steve Coleman noticed that there does appear to be some kind of a connection here, and we're going to get a clarification from Steve when he goes out there and has a look at that. But there is a wetland here, and there is a wetland in the back. This is the buffer area here. This yellow line here, you see, this is the only portion of the site that is outside of the 100-foot buffer, but there are no wetlands in the place where the house is. So just very briefly, I'll go over the layout of the plan. We brought the driveway in on the southern part of the site because obviously this wetland is here. We wanted to avoid that. unfortunately, we do have to impact a small portion of wetland here, but we're going to replace that section of wetland right here. This is a boulder, like a boulder wall. It's just like a 2-foot boulder. They're machine placed. They're set on a little bit of gravel, and they get pushed right in place. And that's what this entire boulder wall will be here. And so that is the wetland impact, and that is the wetland creation area. And then we are doing our work right in the central part of the site. The house is located midway between the wetland in the front and the wetland in the back. So we did talk on the Zoom meeting last Tuesday, and I think the planning department's concern was what can you do to further protect some of the wetland resources and wetland buffer resources on the property, and what can we do to kind of trim this thing back. And so what we did was we looked at that, we listened to the comments from John and Robin, and we did a few things. One of the things we did was to preserve trees, and one of the questions that was brought up by the tree conservation
Advisory board.
Thank you. And as well as the planning department is that why are, so many trees? I went back with Chris, we looked at it, and all these trees that you see now in red with red circles, we're going to preserve those. So we were able to preserve an additional 18 trees. And so we were able to take the tree calipers coming down from 848 inches to 594 inches. So that was a significant change that, we did preserve a bunch of trees. We were able to preserve a couple of trees here. We were also able to preserve some more trees back in here. So but I think that was something that worked out well. Another question came up was about the mitigation plantings. And so this is our mitigation planting plan. And one of the questions that had come up was, can there be some, you guys did a great job with mitigating in here, but we don't see anything in the back. So what we've done now is we've shown more planting in the back. And, if the board feels necessary, I'm sure we could bolster this a little bit more. But what we've done now is we've done a couple of things. Before, when we came in, we had the grading limit line in this gray area here, and it was kind of tight in the back. And it was suggested at the meeting, the Colliers need a place for their kids to play, and they'd rather have a little bit of a bigger backyard. So we pushed the grading limit line to the back. That's the blue line. We pushed it from here to here, but we kept the disturbance we showed in the original plan is still the same disturbance, because what we did was we just took it from here. And then the question of wetland demarcation came up, and how is a future owner going to know, where they can go and where they can't go. And so what we came up with was, of course, we have this boulder wall here. Then we extended this boulder wall about 50 feet. And then what we've done is every 20 feet or 35 feet, we show boulders, similar to the boulders you see on this wall, but we'll have groups of boulders along this line that will indicate, and these can't be moved by hand. These have to be moved by the machine. And so these boulder demarcation points, they serve as physical and visual cues that, that's the area that, you're allowed to develop, and that's the area that remains protected. So, so we added that boulder demarcation on there to have a visual cue. It could also be for enforcement purposes. If an inspector comes out to see, are they encroaching where they shouldn't? Another thing we did, and we talked about, that as you pull down Gregory Street, it's a traditional, landscape neighborhood, and everyone has lawns and plantings. And this is just trees right up to the front. And I thought it was going to look odd. It wasn't going to look very residential. And we suggested maybe a panel of lawn. And I think that the planning department felt that really wasn't appropriate, that it was so close to the wetland. So we said, well, how about this? How about if we go in and we do a planting? So we're going to take out the leaf litter and just the wooded look, and we're going to plant this with a Christmas fern. It's like a semi-evergreen fern. We'll intersperse it with daffodils, and then we'll be adding native shrubbery behind it. So I think what it'll do, it'll help the property. Number one, it's great mitigation. It's extra mitigation that we're putting in, but I think it'll also lend a residential feel to the property, and I think make it more in keeping with the rest of the streetscape. Where, as I say, you pull down and everyone has a landscape yard, and all of a sudden you have this like finger of wood sticking out. So we think it's an improvement, and we think it's a good solution for everyone. what you're seeing, anything you see in red or that this pinkish color, this is the additional plantings. What we did was since the last plan, and again to try to increase, the mitigation. Previously we showed 260 shrubs, and now we added 120, so we're up to 380 shrubs, and we added that in there. And we also discussed how the shrubs can also act to serve as tree replacements. And in other communities we work in, and I provided an example with the information that I provided, it's from the town of Newcastle, community to the south of you. And they have a provision in their code where 8 2-gallon or 3-gallon shrubs equal 1 tree. And this came about on a project that I was working on in Chappaqua many years ago, and we just didn't have room to plant trees on the site. And we talked about that, shrubbery, when you're planting viburnums and inkberries and winterberries, and when you mass these, and when we do a planting, every time we do a planting, we mass things. So we're going to put like 8 or 10 of them together. And what they end up doing is they end up growing as a hedgerow. And there's tremendous wildlife value in these. They're berry producing, they're nesting and foraging. And the town recognized that these hedgerows provide a great deal of wildlife habitat. And that's why they recognized it and they updated their code. And so, again, this is a heavily treed site. So again, we're limited to how many trees we can put in it. It wouldn't make sense to come into this wetland in the front that's got a big tree canopy on it and try to put more trees in there. But instead, it makes sense to put an understory, because there is no understory in there. I think the deer must have stripped it out. But to put an understory here with these high quality native shrubs that can provide provide wildlife opportunities, I think is a big bonus, and I think it works. And so what we have done is we've included the shrubbery. And again, we are going to give you guys an updated submittal, but I do have that information in there just as a guide to what other communities have done in situations like this, and hopefully that might dovetail with your regulations as well. So let's see, we talked about the updated buffer planting. We talked about preserving more trees. Number 4 was the boulder demarcation. Another thing that came up at the meeting was the idea of protection to this wetland area in the back. And unfortunately, this is not reading very well, but on the hard copies, we have a red dot pattern in here. So the applicant has agreed that where this wetland lot is back here, that he will place this in a conservation easement. So this will be permanently protected. And, in other communities, when you place conservation easements on portions of your property to protect wetland and wetland buffer resources, that too is considered a form of mitigation. So we think that's another form of mitigation that we can offer on this thing, again, to meet the stated goal of trying to protect the wetland and wetland buffer resources on the property. So that's now in the plan. We've also added the flood line as requested. We did look at the Fermet map. It said it's at about elevation 38 or 39. So we took 38, and that's that blue line in there. That's the flood line from the FEMA Fermet map.
Okay.
Shrub the floodplains. So I think those were the crux of the items. I think then in Mr. Taggart memo, and I think we've addressed many of them. Obviously, we have a little bit more work to do. The Tree Conservation Advisory Commission, they provided a memo. They would like us to not use some of the ornamental trees that we've put in there. So we're going to be taking out some of the ornamental. We'll take out all the ornamental trees, and we'll replace with native trees. So I think that will meet. That's a simple enough thing to do. It may not be the exact species that the applicants wanted to see on their property, but I think we can make it work, and I think it could be very nice. As Joel said, DEP provided a memo. They're asking us to put a detailed construction sequence on the plan to add their 100-foot limiting distance to the water course. So no problem with that. We'll be adding that to the plans. So I think those were the highlights of the.
And Jerry, they also, can you just confirm that because DEP also asked that it's to confirm that it's located within the sewer district and it's permitted. Can we confirm that?
I've confirmed
Yes.
that with the engineering department.
Yes, yes, we've confirmed that he is entitled to tie into the sewer and the water.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt.
Yep. Mr. Tegeter, John? Did Jerry's explanations?
Jerry? Apparently, Mr. Collier has a great set of professionals, and I really appreciate all the work that they've done in a very, very short time frame. I think a lot of this is what we were trying to offer as an issue, and I think they've done a great job on it. I have one other remaining question is on the southern lot line towards the east. You see that depression there. That looked to me like the possibility of a vernal pool. So I think that still has not been settled, and that would just really be whether it is or isn't. It's really just about what level of protection, and I think there's ample room to protect that. So I don't find that to be an insurmountable difficulty if it turns out to be a vernal pool. But I think a lot of this is very good stuff that they've come up with. It does speak to a lot of the things that you've been hearing relative to the tree law in terms of understory and as mitigation. I thought that the sort of calculation of shrub, and bringing it up to DBH was interesting. I don't know that it is something that our law will adopt at some point, but it's certainly an interesting way to help you get to where you can believe that there is proper mitigation for the trees that have been removed. So I think that's an interesting play. I think this is a lot of good stuff here. So I think that with some fine tuning and just some minor issues to be handled, I think I'll have no further planning objections to it.
Okay. And from the Tree Commission's memo, they said they support aspects of the mitigation plan, but there were some concerns about using plantings that were not native to our region.
Yeah, Matt, we're going to switch them out with native stuff. That's not an issue as far as we're concerned.
Okay.
Yeah, Matt, we've read that memo, and all those trees that are not native will be removed.
Okay. Other questions or comments from the town board?
Does Dan have anything?
Okay.
Dan?
We did get out to the site. The planning board had some concerns. There were some extra disturbance out there, and we touched on that in our memo. The disturbance out there was commensurate with doing the test hole, so that really wasn't an issue. And as John stated, there's a good team. They really put together a program here to develop this lot, which had some challenges, but I think overall we have a good solution to getting a house on this lot.
Thank you, Glenn.
Other questions from the town board?
No, I'm good.
For the team or for our professional staff?
Nope, we're good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Mr. Collier, anybody else from your team that wants to add anything? Mr. Coleman?
I don't think we have anything else unless you have any questions.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? In case of extremely heavy rain, like it has came before, is there any problem, going water near your house, or is there any, there is no basement, right? It's only ground level?
It is proposed to have a basement. I've talked to the surrounding property owners, and they have indicated that over the most severe storms, the stream in the back rises up a little bit, but anywhere near where the house will be. And then whose cursor is visible on the screen right now? Is that yours, Jerry?
Yeah, it's Joel. To answer your question, Councilman, in addition to what Chris just said with regard to the rainstorms and so on and so forth, in addition, in this area up over here, and in this area in the driveway, we did some testing at the request of the town engineer, and we have a series of storm tech units which will take all the water from the driveway and from the roof of the house. So that will be taken care of, and that will be basically in underground units that are called StormTech units. And we've done the testing as per the town engineer's request. And as I said, this area over here to the north of the house and this over here to the south of the house. So that will take care of that. And as Chris said, any other areas in the back here, apparently the stream itself has not gotten to the point, according to the neighbors who've lived there for several years, that to the point where it overflows.
Again, this is the flood line. That blue line is the flood line right there.
This one, yes, this
That's
is the
right
flood
there.
line. And then as far as what John said, Steve Cohen will go out and take a look at this potential depression over here and determine what it is. So we thank you for that comment, John.
Councilman Patel, you're good?
Yes.
Okay. We'll go over to our town clerk, Diana Quast. Do we have anyone to speak for the public hearing? Any members of the public?
The only one I had was Sergio Esposito.
Once again, I have no comment. Thank you. I've heard what I needed to hear.
Thank you, Mr. Esposito. Okay. To the town board, what's the what
Adjourn the meeting.
you want to adjourn?
Yep. Because they've got to make some changes. We can't close.
Okay. I agree. I think that we need to get some updated plans based on today's conversation, and we can adjourn. Why don't we adjourn? Do you want to adjourn also to the? What do we do for the 20th?
Yeah. Is that good, Diana?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Collier, we're going to adjourn you to the 20th. And if you can get our staff the updated plans based on tonight's, on the comments tonight and some of the pieces that we've discussed, that'd be very, very helpful.
Okay, so do Jerry, Steve, and Joel, do you guys have the information you need from the town to provide those updates?
Yes, we do. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Alice, and thank you, Matt. We will
Take care.
endeavor to get everything in enough time. Thank you.
No problem. We have I'm sorry, Diana, we had a motion from Alice. Did we have a second?
I didn't hear one.
Yep. We have motion. We need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Adjourn to the 20th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and have a good day. Have a good
Have a nice evening.
Okay. That concludes our two public hearings. We're going to move over to resolutions. The first is to authorize the supervisor. Well, hold on one second. We're just going to, Joel, if you can just close out your screen for me.
I'm trying.
Yep, that's okay. Thank
There
you
we
very
go.
much.
Thank you.
Bye, Joe.
Good night, Alice.
Good night, everybody.
All right.
Okay, we're going to go to resolutions. First is to authorize the supervisor to execute all necessary documentation to formally request the enactment of a parkland alienation bill for the construction of a solar facility at Granite Knolls Sports Complex. Authorize supervisor to execute an agreement with NCI Emergency Response Answering Service for the year 2021 at a yearly cost of $1,629.46. That's for our water department. Authorize supervisor to execute a one-year extension to the town's towing contract with Yorktown Auto Body. Authorize supervisor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the County of Westchester for a positive youth development program in an amount not to exceed $5,000. Authorize the comptroller to process the following budget transfer for the engineering department. Authorize the comptroller to process the following budget transfer and pay the cash value of unused time for Michael Quinn as of his separation date. Authorize the comptroller to process the following budget transfer and pay Timothy Taus the cash value of unused time as of his retirement date. Authorize the comptroller to process the following budget transfer and pay Elizabeth Proctor the cash value of unused time as of her retirement date. We'll authorize the supervisor to sign a retainer agreement with Eminger, Newton, Pigeon, McGuire, Inc. Hope I said that right, for appraisal services in an amount not to exceed $2,500. Authorize extension of a bid for street and traffic signs for the town of Yorktown. Authorize extension of bid for Cummins Engineer OEM parts for the town of Yorktown. And authorize the town clerk to advertise bid for John Deere OEM parts for the town of Yorktown. And lastly, authorize purchase of a 2022 Ford 350 truck for the building maintenance department and budget transfer in the amount of $42,540. We also have to accept the monthly reports for the building department, finance department, receiver of taxes, and town clerk.
Can I ask you the controllers department? I have not received the report. I like to have either hard copy or electronic.
I will make a copy of the hard copy and drop it off to you tomorrow.
Thank you. Yeah, very well. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Just one question, Supervisor. The where is it here? The youth development program, that was something from last year and will be reoccurring, or is that just a one time?
No, this is something that we do every year.
Okay.
Yeah, forever.
We end up paying it in the following year. Okay. Got it.
So it's $5,000. This is what the Parks and Rec Department. We do it every year.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motions carry. No other business before the board. I'm just going to ask Councilman Diana if you need to return to executive session.
Yes, I'd like to.
Okay, then we'll make a motion to return to executive session.
Second.
And we will adjourn following closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
Are we gonna finish as our suggested time before we started?
Yeah, make this fast.
Vishnu, otherwise I'm going to nod off.
No, you one who suggested. I'm not.